Are you looking for rackless luggage but don't want to spend a fortune? I have the perfect solution for you right here. Stick around. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. This is a video I'm very excited to do. It's something I've been doing research for about 4 months or so. I wanted to put a rackless luggage system on my Yamaha Tenere 700, but all of the rackless systems out there seem to be made of unobtainium. And the idea of spending $600, $800, $1,200 for a rackless system was too much for me to stomach. So I started looking at what I could do to build my own DIY rackless luggage system. And it took me some time, but I think I've came up with a solution using all of this stuff that you see sitting on my lap. Now I'll go through all of the pieces here and how I am putting together a rackless system. The important thing to know is everything that you see sitting on my lap cost me about $200. So I think based on what I have here, I can put together a rackless luggage system for my Tenere 700 for about $200. Now, this doesn't include a dry bag that'll go on top. That'll be, you can get those for $30, $40, $50, $60, whatever you want to do if you even want one. But the core base of this rackless system will have the saddlebag pannier bags and enough storage. I'm looking at 24 to 26 liters of storage to be completely functional for what I need to do. And because it's only costing me between $200 and $225 to do this whole thing, I could replace this thing 5 times, the entire thing 5 times for the cost of one Moscow Moto luggage system. Now, I understand that those are super durable. They should last you a lifetime, but I'm not willing to fork out that money if I can get 2, 3, 4 years out of this, maybe upgrade it, do something different. And I know quite a few of you out there are riding on a budget and you're looking for a cost-effective, affordable solution. So hopefully that's what I have here. Now, I will leave links to all of the items here in the description below. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the evolution of what I want to try to do with this and how I might be able to help you all get into one of these luggage systems if you don't want to do all the sourcing. So the first thing I need to do is get into the harness to get it mounted, and I'll talk about that. So let's get to putting this thing on the bike, and I'll go through the fitting of it, and I will talk about each of the bags, the harness, and how I am putting it together. So if this is something you're interested in, you can go through all the details and figure out if this will work for you. So let's get to it. The first thing you need in order to build a rackless system for your bike is you need some sort of harness to mount the luggage to mount the dry bags or whatever bags that you want to put on it. And that's where I had a lot of difficulty, was trying to find a harness that I could put on. Now, if you look at all of the other types of systems, they have some universal ones. Kriega has something that's very universal and you can add bags to it. That's a lot of money, and that's before you even have any luggage put together. So I was able to find this harness here, and I'll get it mounted on the bike here in a minute, for $25. And it has some webbing and some D-rings here for mounting dry bags, for mounting some bags that I found that I think will work really well. Now, this is made by Armorain, and there'll be a link in the description below for this particular harness. What they use it for is their own small 6-liter dry bag. But when I was looking at this, I thought, well, why do you have to stay with 6 liters? Why couldn't you do 10, 20, maybe even 30? So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to get this mounted, and I will go through each of the bags that I'm going to put on this entire system. And because this is modular and it's DIY, if you want something smaller on here, you can put something smaller. If you want something bigger, you can put something bigger. And you can kind of experiment until you figure out what the right size is for the type of riding you're going to do. Now, right now, each of my pannier bags is like 32 liters, maybe 35 liters, which, if I'm being honest, it's too big. I don't use all that space, or I rarely use all that space. And when I am using all that space, it's typically in the winter where it's filled with warmer clothes and things that I'm going to need for cold weather camping. But for just summer camping, 20 liters plus maybe an extra 3, 4, 5 hanging off the back and a bottle holder, should be enough for each side. So let me show you how this mounts up, and then we'll go through each of those bags. I put the harness in place over my back seat. I don't carry a passenger with luggage. And when I'm doing any off-road riding or any travel, I'm usually solo, not riding with anyone. So this is where I've put it. Now, I'm just getting into learning this, and this is pretty cool. It has a little Velcro strap here, and then there's a cam buckle for this back where I'm attaching it to my rear plate. Now, I'm attaching it up under here so that it draws on the inside down to this cam buckle, and I'll tug that tight. But it has a little Velcro to cover that buckle so it's not rubbing on anything. That's fantastic. I didn't know that when I was looking through it. And this strap is really, really long. So you can put it many places. You could even just loop it all the way around. And each side has one of these, so you can buckle them individually and anchor it wherever you think you may want it. So that's the first anchors, and then I'll get it the next ones. All right, here's the other anchor point at the bottom of the harness. And I've got a little spot on my rear foot peg here that loops around. So I just put it through here, and then there's another cam buckle here. And there was a little stretchy elastic thing that went over the top of this, I think, to keep things from rubbing on it. So I'll have to put that back on to protect that. But I don't have it completely cinched down, but I do have it close. So I need to get the other side, and then I'll get it pieced together. But you've got 4 anchor points for this harness, and then we'll get the bags on. This piece of kit here is the part that I think I am the most excited about. When I was looking for bags to mount to the harness, I couldn't find anything from Armorrain. I think I'd already mentioned they only had the 6-liter bags. They didn't have anything bigger than that. So I started looking at other dry bags, and I came across the Rhino Walk dry bags. And I had been looking at some of their other luggage. It's almost a rackless looking luggage. I wasn't really content with that. And I found these 20, so they have a 10, a 20, and a 30-liter bag. Now, in the ads, it didn't show this mesh front. And when it came in and I saw that it had a mesh front on it, I was super excited because this is like a whole nother pocket and it is extremely useful. So I'm already getting excited about this bag as I'm talking about it. I'm forgetting what I wanted to say, but what I'll do is go through the quick features of this so that you can see what this bag has to offer. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted. I've done a practice mount. Now that it's on the bike, it might be a little bit different, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. And there's a couple things that I'm going to do to make sure that this stays secure once it's mounted on the harness. So to begin with, it has this really cool open mesh front. And I'm mentioning it again because I'm always looking for a place to put trash when I get done camping. And having something like this, not only do I have a place to store trash, but I'll see it and I'll remember to throw it away. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten home and I've had trash tucked in all kinds of little places on the bike. This is when I got gas, I forgot it was there and forgot to throw it out. So at least it will be here. The other great thing about this is wet clothes, wet socks, t-shirts, things like that. I can just tuck in here. This would also be an excellent place to put flip-flops, especially if you use them as shower shoes. They're going to be wet. You just tuck them in here. You've got this little mesh pouch on each side. So that's the front, which I'm super excited about. Now there's another feature I haven't seen on bags like this, is it has this little zipper area and a little dry area back here. So if you have flat things that you want to put back here that maybe you will tuck in against the bike, this would be a great place to put it. I carry one of those little flat wood stoves, the little portable ones. I'm going to put mine on one side back here because then it's tucked away. It gives some rigidity to the bag itself, and then it's not a part of the main compartment. And if I want to get just that out, I can. It tends to get filthy even in its bag. The bag is filthy, so it'll go back here and not be with everything else. And then I also carry some starter paper, so I can tuck that in here where it'll stay dry and be with that little stove. The back of this it's like rubberized. I think Rhino Walk says it's capable of 160 degrees. So as long as you keep it away from your exhaust, it should be fine. And then there's multiple mounting ways to mount this. not sure if this will show up, but we've got these buckles here, and there's some anchor points that you can buckle in, and then it comes around and straps on with one of those G clips to the front. And that's what I'm going to do. You also have some way of anchoring it with webbing off of here, but as I was trying to measure it up with the harness, it's just not quite the right position. And I really like being able to just buckle it on, because if I can buckle it, that means I can unbuckle these pretty quickly, and I could take this whole thing in if I wanted to, if I'm at a hotel, and then I can just buckle it back up, and 4 buckles on each side. It's not as convenient as some of the others where you pull things out and just go, but it's possible. And depending on how you fill the inside of this, you might just be able to pull that out and go. So that's this piece of it. The only thing that I wish that this had was MOLLE webbing. If it had MOLLE webbing, I could add a lot more things to it a lot more easily. But even without the MOLLE webbing, I'm going to find plenty of things to do with it. And maybe someday down the road, if I really like these, I can just add my own MOLLE webbing to it. Now, I have a blanket in this. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, just to kind of fill it out so that it's not smashed and loose and flopping around, because this has no rigidity to it. It has no framework. If that's something you wanted to do, you could easily put some plastic frames in here, some bottom and sides, and that would give it its shape. I may do that later, but for now I'm going to leave it as is. And then inside, and I'll get a better look at this, is a silver lining, which is a waterproof lining. And that is, you can zip this out. So if you don't want this, or if you maybe puncture this and it's not keeping things dry, you can replace it and start using your own dry bags. But it does have a waterproof liner, and because it's silver, it makes it easier to see things in here. It's a typical roll top where you roll it 3 times, and then you've got the buckles here, and then just pull them down. So I'm excited about what I can do with this bag. And so let's get this mounted and see how it looks. In mounting these, I went through the D-rings. Now there's the webbing that you could go through here, but I felt like the D-rings were more appropriately sized for where these loop through. So that's what I've done, and that's where I'm going to start with it. There might be a little bit of experimentation figuring out how to get it to fit exactly right, but I like it this way right now. All right, you can see I have it loosely fit, and I'll admit it's floppy right now, but I have a way to solve that once this is fully loaded. Now, again, just the blanket in there so it's somewhat soft. But what I want to do is, once I get the other bags on, is I will put what I would normally carry in there, and I'll show you how to take all of this out and have it suck up onto the bike so it's not wobbling. So the next thing I want to do is add my bottle holders. I really like having those. I'm going to attach them to the front here, and because that's usually where I put them, so it's really quick to grab water. Water is essential for any type of travel, so I always carry it in a hydration pack, and I always carry a couple bottles, at least half a gallon. I prefer to carry close to a gallon with me if I can. But I'm going to start with just putting those bottle holders on the front, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with the back to add a little bit more storage. All right, I got the bottle holder on, and what I ended up doing is there is some webbing up top here for the G-clips. So I just went ahead and ran the top of the bottle holder through the webbing for the G-clip. And then down below, the webbing is too far down for the MOLLE sticks that go through to attach to. So for now, I just put some zip ties just to hold it in place. I've done that with other bottle holders, and it's worked just fine. That may not be what you want to do, but again, remember, this is a budget luggage solution where we're not spending $600, $700, $800, $1,000. So we're getting something that's functional to get us out on the trail and not break the budget. Next thing I want to do is talk about what I'm going to put on the back. So let's get to that. On the back of the 20-liter bag, I wanted to put one of these small bags. This is a little 6-liter dry bag, and it would just give me some extra space back there. If there's just miscellaneous things, maybe things I get into a little bit more frequently, or tennis shoes that are muddy or wet, and I don't want to mix them in with whatever goes in my normal bags. So what I wanted to do is add one of these to the back. But I ordered the Armor Rain 6-liter bag, and now that I have it in, I think it's bigger than I was expecting. And I have the little possibility pouches from Giant Loop, And I also thought those were 6 liters, but those might be like 3 liters. So what I'm considering doing is turning this 6-liter bag into my crash bar bag that'll carry tools and carry my puncture repair kit, and take the smaller bag and put on the back, basically for the same thing, to put shoes, wet things, just miscellaneous things that I don't want in the other bag, or maybe there's no room. It might also be a good place to put a camp stove so that it's easy to get to, and fuel, and separate some of those things. So I have a little bit of experimentation with seeing if I want to use this or if I go with the possibility bag. I have this side completely assembled. It took a little bit to get things to go together the way I wanted it to be here. Now you can see it still wobbles. I have a way to fix that, but I don't even have my normal gear in there. Once I have my normal gear in there, then I will work on getting that situated so I can get this strap down. And you can see that I've got this loose strap here, which will suck everything together. This particular strap goes through my tiny little luggage rack behind it, so there is a solid surface for sucking it to, where it's not relying on the harness to hold it down. Now, I've done a couple other things I'll detail at the end once everything's together and I've got it loaded up the way I wanted it. I have the little giant loop possibility bag mounted on the back. I think that's a much better fit because it's smaller than the other bag that I had. And the other bag, which was great, I was able to get both my rear tube and my front tube in it with my spoons and the little tool required to pull the axle out of the front wheel. I do carry a little bit of dish soap, so if I have to pull a tire off, I can lube the rim before doing that. So that all fit in that bag. So I actually like that solution better. There are other options besides the giant loop possibility bag. This bag, if you don't get it on sale, is $60. I paid $25 for it last year when around Christmas they put everything on super sale. I knew how much they normally cost, so I couldn't help myself but buy 4 of these. So both my bikes have 2 of these bags. It was a great deal at the time. I will leave some options in the links for some other bags that are about the same size that aren't as expensive as what Giant Loop has. I think they're equally as effective. And this part of the bike on the bags, it's mostly just for holding stuff. This shouldn't make contact with the ground if you do have an off. So I'm going to get the other side mounted up, and once I get that done, I will load all of my gear up and then show you how it fits in here and what I've done to secure it. And then if the weather clears, it's been snowing the last couple of days, it's cold in the garage, I will get out and do some riding. I want to see how this feels on the bike, what it does to the balance of it, and how much it moves around. So let me get that done and then we'll get to the next. Both sides are fully mounted, installed, and now what I need to do is pack what I usually take with me in each of these sides and figure out what that packing configuration is going to be like. These 2 dry bags that I have here are what I typically carry. There might be a few little odds and ends that aren't in here. I think I'm missing my shoes. I need to figure out what happened to those. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is get this loaded, see how it works, and then I'm not going to film putting every detail in because I've got to kind of work through how I'm going to repack because the shape of everything is a little bit different. Space is going to be a little bit different. But if there's anything that I see as I'm going through, I will leave you some tips and tricks and things that may help you pack something like this if you decide to do this yourself. I have a quick packing tip while I'm going through this. If you are still using the little bag that your tent comes in, you're wasting space. I recommend you just jam everything in your bag, and then it'll fill up the whole area and not have gaps, and then it's not so lumpy to try to fit around. So I've already put the rain fly in here, so the next thing I'm going to do is just put the tent in itself, and this is really crinkly, just stuff it all the way in. And that way you can get both the fly and the tent in as low as possible. Now, this would be a problem if everything was wet. If everything's wet, maybe have a dry bag to put it in or the stuff sack just in case. But then you can just put that in on top and not have to worry about it. The other thing is if you have a dry bag that you're using to put everything in, maybe just put the tent in the outside part where the canvas is and then keep everything you want to stay dry in there. And then it'll have some wicking through this, but you'll eventually have to get your tent out. But this is just a better way of packing it that I started doing last year, just so that it's that tube, hard packed tube of your tent, it just is a better place to go. And I like having my tent in my side bags, not on top. Bags are completely loaded with probably 90% of what I'd be carrying. Really, the only thing it's missing on the other side is I would probably carry a little bit of food with me, and that way I don't have to worry about stopping as frequently. This side, which is the side I carry my tent poles, my shoes, things like that, everything fit in. And I actually don't have anything in this little bag on the back. I think I could put maybe some chain lube or something in there, if there's any other miscellaneous, maybe my fishing reel and stuff like that, because I am going to start fishing again now that I'm out west. I do have a bottle in here, but I have this little pouch on the front that nothing is in. Eventually I'll start figuring out how to organize and arrange everything. But this is all strapped down. It has a little bit of wiggle to it, but I guarantee you, if you were to look at any of the other luggage that I have, like the Wolfman luggage I have on my KTM, it moves around a lot. And when you watch it on videos, you'll see it flopping up and down, where this doesn't have a lot of up and down. It does have a little bit of twist to it, but overall, it's as secure as anything else I've used. Now, is this as secure as some of the other brands? No, probably not. Is it going to hold up as well as those other brands? No, probably not. But it's a fraction of the cost. I think now that I've kind of moved a few things around, I'm still at $220 for everything. And if I just need to replace one of these bags, I can do that pretty easily. I think I can pick these up, and the prices change, but $45 for one of these 20-liter bags, that is really, really easy. I am also glad that I went with the 20-liter and not the 30. The 30 I think would have been way too big. And this I think is like the perfect amount of size. I'm having to reduce a few things, not take as much, which is what I should be doing. And on the other side, where I usually carry all my cooking stuff, everything fit in really well. There's a little bit of room on top to throw some food in my bear bag so that I have what I need when I go. Right now, the only other thing that's left is to put a dry bag on top, which is where I put my sleep system and my clothes. And that's no different than what I do anyway when I go out. And there's some lashing points at the top. So what I need to do next is get out and do a test ride on this on the road and then off some gravel roads and see how they are. I hope the gravel roads are dried up tomorrow, because I'd like to get out and do some filming and see how much it bounces around and if I feel that difference on this bike. So let's go do that. I tried to get out on some dirt roads and test and something to be rough and see how the luggage held on and if it moved around and how much it moved around and if I would notice it on the bike. But unfortunately, it is December and the normal areas that I go to, the forest roads, are covered in snow. And even the area that I go and do a lot of filming, which is a forest area picnic ground, it's covered in snow as well. So I wasn't able to do the testing I wanted to do. I think I rode about 40 miles just around trying to find a place to go. But I'm confident it'll be fine. I think one thing I'll have to do is as things settle in the bag and as it kind of gets smashed down and moved around, is periodically, maybe when I stop for gas, is make sure everything's tight, which I do that on my other bags anyway, at least when I first install them, just to make sure everything is sitting in place where I want it to be. So from affordable standpoint, I really think this is a good way to go. I'm excited to use this over the next summer. I have a lot of trips planned, a lot of riding I'm going to be doing, thousands of miles, some off-road. I don't know how much off-road I'll do on this bike, but some off-road and a lot of long distance travel. So if this is something you're interested in, please let me know in the comments below. And if it's piqued your interest and maybe it's giving you some ideas of some other things you can do, let me know that in the comments below as well. Now keep in mind, this is modular. If you don't want bottle holders on it, you don't need it. If you don't like the back bag that I put on, you don't need that either. If you want a bigger bag up front, you could put a 30-liter on, no problem. If you want a 15-liter, you could do that as well. So as a reminder, this is a 20-liter that I have here. And I just threw my own 40-liter bag up here. Everything that's in here could fit in a 30-liter. I just like this bag, but I wanted to see how the whole luggage setup would be. Now, last thing, if you are interested in this, I'm leaving affiliate links down below. Please use those. That helps support the channel And I did quite a bit of research in trying to get this sorted out, and hopefully it'll be beneficial to you. So if it is something that you're interested in, use those links. It'll take you to all of the items and then some extra items for the modularity of this system. I would really appreciate that. And the last thing is, if you are interested in this type of setup, but you don't want to do the sourcing and you don't want to do the assembly, let me know. I am considering, for those that don't want to do all that, I will source everything and I will assemble it for you. And then I will ship it to you with just a small assembly surcharge. So it should still remain affordable over, I think, every other rackless luggage solution out there. And then we can pick and choose the pieces that you may want to put on there, and then I'll just get it out to you. So that is something I'm considering. So let me know if that is of interest. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. I hope it inspires you to get out and do some riding, maybe figure out a new luggage solution that works for you, especially if you're looking for something that's rackless. And I'll do a review on this at the end of the year when I put on, thousands of miles, both on-road and off-road, to see if the $220 I spent was money well worth spending. And depending on how rough a riding I do and how many offs I have and how many times I drop the bike, we'll see how well this holds up. So I'm confident in it, and it'll serve my needs and what I want, and it is affordable. So anyway, thanks for watching. Get out, do some riding, ride safe, and I will see you out there. Flip-flops, if you carry flip-flops, this would be a great place to put flip-flops, especially if you use them as shower shoes. They're going to be cold.